Hello folks, Rob H. Henderson here, the H Factor. Every Sunday we're here from 6 to 10. We host the Sunday sessions here at La Rose. We call it the intergenerational jam sessions.
His idea was to mix the younger generation with more seasoned professionals on the bandstand. And this is a way for them to learn in real time what it is to be a professional on the gig. My mother was a classically trained pianist who also studied violin, viola, cello, and organ. Played organ for church, worked with musicians. In high school at Germantown, she had a band. Reggie Workman and Archie Shep were in her band when she played piano. My grandmother, growing up in her home, we were a 4-generational home, she did not say no to the arts. And if you can imagine, 12 years old, sitting in the Bucks County Playhouse watching Shakespeare in the round and bored to tears. But it was culture she was exposing us to. And when I was about 16, my youth organization at church, we needed new choir robes. So another friend on the choir and I decided we're gonna have a dance. We auditioned some groups and decided, okay, let's do this. Unfortunately for us, we were 16 years old and legally couldn't sign the contracts. So my mom signed and her father signed, telling my age here, but the band was breakwater. We only had to pay them a couple of $100. We ended up having 3 bands, 4 dances, but we raised the money for new choir robes for the youth council. And we left some money for the church. So that was my humble beginning. And my mother was right there with us. Oh no, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. You know, so that was a great experience.
When I was around 16, 17 years old, I was living in Nicetown, and around the corner from me was a hook shop. And a hook shop is a place where they sold fake jewelry, you know, watches and chains. And in the back, the proprietor of the place was a guy named Bill. And he used to wear a cowboy hat. He wore this cowboy hat with the front bent down like that. And he played drums. And this guy, Bill, used to actually set his drums up in bars and play along with the jukebox and play along with Go-Go Girls. And I used to cut school and go to the hook shop and hang out in the back with these guys. And I used to sit there and play on the timbales, and I played timbales with a hi-hat. And on my 18th birthday, shortly after, I went and bought a drum set. I played left-handed for about a year and a half, and a guitar player named Vincent Holtzley, he asked me, are you right-handed or left-handed? And I said, I'm right-handed. And he said, man, you playing backwards. And so he took the hi-hat and the snare, and he put it on the right side, and I played that way. I was like, oh, this does feel better. And this is around 1978, you know, and within the next couple of years, I put a band together with my brothers. I had 4 brothers. One passed away 2 years ago, but Greg played trumpet, Fred played bass, Sean played trombone, and Galen played saxophone. And so from around 79 to about 82, I was known in Philly as the Henderson Brothers.
I first met Rob at the old LG Blue Note in West Oak Lane. They had a Monday jam session with Tony Williams, Eddie Green, Tyrone Brown, and Al Tasty Cake Jackson on drums. And it was one of the places also that we were doing the jazz breakfasts. And my mother would bring in Nat Adderley with a very young Vincent Herring. First met him back then. She also brought in Donald Byrd during that time period. And Rob was in and out. He and I would run into each other maybe down at Ortlieb's.
Well, this happened when Ortlieb's was having their jam session, and they decided to stop. And I was talking with Mike Boone, you know, at La Rose, because he was playing, you know, he plays there every Monday. And I was like, wow, there's no place, you know, for these young cats to come play, you know. And I don't know why I was concerned, but I was actually concerned, you know, because I thought at that time it was important for them to have an outlet and just have a place where they can just come and hang and play.
And Rob decided, I think I want to try something. So he looked at a few places. LaRose was one of them in Germantown. Byron Lancaster had contacted me, I guess a few years before, to say that there was live music at LaRose, this little place. Used to be Mama LaRosa's restaurant or something. And my mother had also gone in there a few times to, support Bayard. We used to call him the Pied Piper growing up. But I did not know Rob was doing the session. I got a phone call from ORRIN Evans, and he said, "Kim, Rob's doing the jam session on Sundays." I said, "Okay, where?" He said, "At LaRose."
What I elected to do was pay the band myself, and that way I have control over how long the session would go. And, I always had a week to make up enough money to pay the band, and it's so funny because during the week, the first monies I made was the money I would put that on the side and say, okay, I got the band money, so we're gonna make this thing happen.
So I come in and this guy jumps up. He says, "Hi, I'm Les Hinton. I'm the photographer." Byard had always told me, document everything. How is she gonna know that it happened? So years ago, when I used to go to Natalie's out in West Philly and go to different places, I started keeping a little notepad and jotting down the musicians and the songs, just for my own personal history. So I did the same thing a few times at LaRose. But I saw that maybe word needed to get out, more people needed to come.
She would, for lack of a better word, she would do like a commentary on social media each night. As the musicians played, she would write down the songs, who played, and give a small narrative of the night. And it kind of caught on because I noticed now on social media, in particular Facebook, I didn't see this before, Kim. Now I see, like, when people have gigs and you see a narrative of the gig. And it's funny because if she would miss a day, I would see posts on Facebook, "Kim, what happened Sunday?"
And word started getting out. We had Cornell Rochester pop in there. Reggie Workman came by to see what was happening when he was in town. And then, aside from those notables, we started getting people in from other countries.
When I would start seeing parents bringing their 15 and 16-year-old kids there and dropping them off and coming up to me, thanking me for, "Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for doing this. We have nowhere to go." We had kids that came from as far as Reading, PA, and then as word got out, we had young folks from as far away as Amsterdam, where the first place they wanted to come was, "Look, I want to get to LaRose because I hear it's a really great session there," And not just the young kids, but we had some older people that were kind of new to the music, and it was just as enthusiastic for them as well as some of the young kids.
The great thing about that, it was cross-generational. It was not about the music, but it's what they were learning, not just on the bandstand, sitting down talking to these elders off the bandstand, learning about the music business from the ground up and how to conduct themselves. And that's really become the focus of the Sunday sessions. But that's what this music does. It creates a sense of family. And Rob went from being an acquaintance to being like a brother in the 5 years that we've been doing these Sunday sessions.
It was a really great run, and I don't regret it, and I would love to do it again, and I would at the drop of a hat. I appreciate everyone, musicians, and this was one of the few jam sessions where we had an audience of non-musicians that came on a regular basis to hear jazz music and was thoroughly entertained by all the different acts that would be on that bandstand. And I just want to thank each and every one of you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
It's something I think that we will have with us the rest of our lives. That for this time period, we brought people together of all walks of life on a Sunday from 6 to 10 and had a great time. All kinds of weather. You know, we were just there and just glad to be there.